All right, get ready, because today's chat might upset a few people, but that's okay, I don't care. Hey, it's Fayter here from Optimum Mind, the place where smart people come to learn to run their brains and their lives more effectively. So, carrying on from my last video, I want to talk about another vague term, another one of those terms that we use when people don't even know what they're talking about, even when they use it themselves. So, you ready for it? It's intuition. That's a great one, isn't it? Listen to your intuition. I'm quite intuitive. Oh, I just went with my intuition. So there's a whole heap of different things we could talk about regarding this, but I want to make some distinctions just to cut out some of the things and narrow the field a little bit. We're not talking about necessarily gut, your gut feeling. There's a whole debate around that as well. We're not talking about instinct, because instinct is knowing to do something from like a survival point of view or a safety point of view. It's kind of like if a rock's come flying at your head, well, you instinctively duck. All right? Intuition is something different. Intuition, the definition of intuition is to know something without knowing where you knew that information from. So the example of the rock. If it's a rock's come flying at your head, instinctively, if you see it, you'll duck. Intuitively, you don't see the rock, you don't know the rock's coming, but something tells you, I must duck. Now that something might be, you've heard a noise unconsciously or whatever. So with that quick distinction, and bear in mind there's more to this, when we talk about intuition, intuition is an inner knowing. It's knowing something and not knowing where you got that information from. So in a hypnotic perspective, we can talk about something called cryptomnesia. So cryptomnesia means hidden memory, and it's one example of how people talk about past lives. So when they have past life, they can remember a whole heap of stuff. It's actually cryptomnesia. They might have read a story, they might have seen something on the TV or in a movie years ago, and they're kind of remembering it. So it's cryptomnesia. I'm sorry. Just got to move the cat. Come here. So, intuition. So, intuition is that knowing without knowing where you got the information from. But there's the distinction, isn't it? It's you did get the information from somewhere. So, when we say listen to our intuition, again, same as my last video, the person speaking and the person hearing may have two different interpretations of intuition. So here's some cautions around intuition. Intuition is knowing something from experience. So I could not make an intuitive move in a professional game of chess because I have no background, no experience in chess. I can make an intuitive move in regards to martial arts because I've got a lot of background. The same with professional, like race car drivers. They can make intuitive decisions because they have this inner knowing. And it's because they've learned something over and over again, and it's become so unconscious that they're not popping up actual memories of information. They are relying on that unconscious collection of information in order to determine and make a decision about what they do in the now. So with intuition, you need to understand that, for instance, a child, a 2, 3, 4-year-old child, maybe even older, they're not that intuitive about certain subjects because they don't have the life experience that have taught them those things. So if somebody talks about use your intuition, check with yourself, do you have the background knowledge in the field in which they're talking about? And if you're asking somebody to use their intuition, make sure you explain to them what exactly that you mean. So there's my little thoughts on intuition. Again, this is massive, it could cover a whole heap, but what are your thoughts? How do you use the term intuition. So leave a comment below. Let's get a bit of a dialogue going because I'm really interested to hear.